You're still not together at 11:33, and you sent him a message, how long, right?
That's right.
How long is he going to be out, is what you're asking him, aren't you?
No, how long till he is ready to talk?
How long before we can talk, right? Isn't that what it means?
Yes,
You're doing the asking how long, right?
that's right. How long till he is ready to talk?
Given what we've seen about this relationship, isn't that part of your jealousy because you want to know what's going on with him that night?
I woke up later in the evening and I went over to his house later that night.
You go to his house later that night. Do you talk with him?
Yes,
Do you ask him about what you saw?
I didn't really have to ask him. I just was silent and let him do the talking mostly.
What was the subject matter of the conversation?
Mostly about, he was explaining to me.
After that conversation, did you come away with the understanding that Mr. Alexander had a sexual interest in children?
Yes,
Did you believe him to have an interest in young boys?
Objection, hearsay. Overruled.
yes,
Did he express, or did you come away with the understanding that you could help him with this problem?
that's the impression he gave me.
And what was your understanding of how you were to help him with this problem?
He preferred sex with women. He preferred sex with women.
Why?
Made him feel normal, more normal.
In this conversation, was there any discussion about why he wanted you to wear the boys' Spider-Man underwear?
That was the reason for it, apparently. That's what he had told me.
The reason being, if I understand you correctly, that he liked pretending that you were a young boy.
I didn't ask him what he was visualizing.
Is this the last time you ever spoke with Travis Alexander?
No,
Did you leave right away after this discussion?
no,
Did you submit to a sexual interaction with Mr. Alexander after this discussion?
yes.
And what sort of interaction was that?
It was sex. It was anal sex.
Why, Jodi, were you willing to submit yourself to sexual interaction with Mr. Alexander, having seen and having heard everything you saw and heard that day?
It's hard to describe because it's very embarrassing, but he seemed very ashamed with himself, and like he didn't want to be that way. It was something he struggled with, and that's not who he wanted to be. It's not who he wanted to be in the future, and he was trying to deal with it. And when he had sex with women, he felt like a normal heterosexual man, and that's what he wanted to be. and that's what he said he was, and that's what I believed him to be, and so when he had sex with women, he felt more normal, and it was preferable to his other deviant urges, I guess you could say.
So were you doing this to help him?
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, I still loved him.
How long is he going to be out, is what you're asking him, aren't you?
No, how long till he was ready to talk?
You're doing the asking how long, right?
That's right. How long till he was ready to talk?
So if you got together with him, it was after 11:33, after he got done doing whatever he was doing, right?
What was that question?
If you got together that evening, it was after he got done with whatever he was doing.
That's right.
And so it doesn't seem like he's in a hurry to talk to you, does it?
I don't know.
It doesn't seem like he's all this, like this upset that you portrayed him, that he really wanted to talk to you about this issue that you say that you saw him engaged in, right?
The day after you walked in on him, you mentioned that you had sex that night. Did you leave that night?
Yes.
Okay. How did you come to, where did you see Mr. Alexander the next day?
I was getting ready to leave for California, and before I left, I wanted to see if he was okay. I figured if that were me, I'd want to go jump off a bridge. So I wanted to make sure that he was okay. I felt really bad for him and everything that happened, so I was just trying to make him feel better, because if I were in his shoes, I'd want to jump off a bridge at this point.
So what happened when you went over to check on Travis, I guess on the 22nd of January?
What happened when I went over there?
Yeah.
I went over there just to see how he was doing. We were talking in his bedroom, and he told me he needed to borrow, I think it was $200. But I didn't have it. I had just lent him $6.99 and like a few days prior, and I had just enough money to get to pay for the gas on my trip, maybe some food, and get back. All my credit cards at that point were shot from my house, so I didn't have anything else to draw from except my checking account. So I told him, I guess I didn't really snap at him because he had reacted very badly in the past when I snapped at him. So, but I did say, I said, I just lent you $700. Oh, he called me selfish because I told him I didn't have it and that I was going to California. And that if I couldn't afford to lend him a few $100s, then maybe I shouldn't go to California. Maybe I should stay and pick up more shifts, because that's not a lot of money. And if I don't have it, then that's a problem. A reflection on my own personal finances.
There's an issue about the deposit, and in fact, you're asking him if he made the deposit, right?
Yes.
And he told you that he did, right?
Yes.
Is he giving you money there?
What's the date?
Pardon?
What was the date on that one?
The 22nd.
So what happened when you went over to check on Travis, I guess on the 22nd of January?
What was the date on that one?
The 22nd.
I don't know what we were referring to there.
Well, you do say, your text message does say, did you make the deposit?
Yes.
And he said yes, and then you said what?
Thank you, I'll make it up to you soon. And he told me he needed to borrow, I think it was $200.
It looks like he lent you money there, doesn't it?
Yes.
Any idea how much money he lent you?
I think it was $200. He lent me money in small increments, I don't remember. Oh, he called me selfish.
And he would do it if you needed it, right?
If he could, he would, yes.
And if you needed it, right?
Yes. So I thought, how can you call me selfish? I just lent you $700. And when I said that, he got angry, and he crossed the room, and he started shaking me, and he said, I'm fucking sick of you. And he was screaming it real loud, and some of his spit got in my face. And I mean, he wasn't spitting on me, but as he was talking. And he body slammed me on the floor at the foot of his bed.
What did he do after he slammed you on the floor at the foot of his bed?
Well, it startled me. It didn't hurt, but it startled me. And so I kind of let out an unexpected sound. I guess it could be best described as a yelp, sort of. Can't really explain it. It just was unexpected. So it startled me, and then the impact and the sound came out. And I think he misinterpreted, because he said, "Don't act like that hurts." He called me a bitch, and he kicked me in the ribs. And that hurt for real. But he went to kick me again, and I put my hand out and to block his foot, and it clipped my hand and hit my finger.
Was the finger broken, as best you could tell?
I believe it was broken.
Why didn't you call the police?
I would have never called the police on Travis.
Why not?
I couldn't imagine doing something like that.
Why not?
It would have felt like treachery. I wouldn't have betrayed him. I was loyal to him.
You just mentioned the word loyalty. Given all that you went through, what did you have to be loyal to?
Well, I looked at him as someone who had his own issues that he was struggling with, and I didn't see him as a bad person. I just saw him as somebody who was conflicted and had issues, just like everyone has issues. He just had different issues, and I wanted him to get help. That was one of the conditions we had made the day before. Of course, he didn't want me to say anything, and I promised him I wouldn't say anything as long as you get help, of course, and he said he would. And so I just couldn't imagine doing anything to betray him. Oh, he called me selfish.
Do you still, is that injury still visible on you today?
I think so. It's crooked.
Could you hold up your hand for us so we can see? Your finger, hold it up, Jodi, if you can. How do you feel when you see that injury on your hand? Goes to state of mind and battered women's syndrome, Judge. Jodi, hold that finger up for us again, would you? Would you take a look at it?
Would I?
Look at your finger.
Yeah.
When you see that, what does that remind you of?
It reminds me of the incident. I try not to think about him,
Try not to think about who.
about the incident,
Okay. Why not?
because it's unpleasant.
You scared when you think about that day?
I don't go too far in my mind with it because it's not very pleasant. It's a very negative experience, and I wish I'd handled it differently.
And no one knew about this injury or this supposed or claimed injury to the little finger until after you killed Mr. Alexander, right?
That's right.
You killed Mr. Alexander, right?
That's right. I still loved him.
That's how I remember it, yes.